Tired of winning the tailgate, but losing the games? We can't help that. But we can tell you what the hell is up with each team and what's going on across sunny San Marcos. Texas State fans, get on your feet. You're listening to Squaring Around with Jakob Rodriguez and Andrew Zimmel.
Welcome to episode 16 of Squaring Around, everybody. This is where we talk about Texas State athletics. And this week, we're joined by the editor of the San Marcos Daily Record, Colton McWilliams. Colton McWilliams, thanks for joining us, buddy.
No problem.
Yeah, we got some new listeners. You know, we've got over 1,100 streams across all platforms. So for those of you that don't know, we're all University Star alumni. Obviously, Zimmel did some shit talking on air at KTSW 89.9. And that's kind of our legacy at this point.
I think that I have a better legacy than just throwing some words around on air, but that's fine.
Just spinning the rock, you know.
relatively big deal, but it's fine.
So the first thing I want to talk about, guys, is the road to Omaha starts through San Marcos. Bobcats are facing off against Northwestern this weekend. They got a 3-game series. They just announced the pitching lineup. It's Levi Wells, Zeke Wood, and Nathan Medrano on Sunday. So it's Friday, Saturday, and Sunday for everybody keeping score at home.
All right, Jacob, FMK, go.
Well, Levi is like the preseason pitcher of the year favorite. So obviously you got to lock that down. Mary.
Colton?
Oh, Nathan's chasing a Cheez-Its deal. So...
be a little gold digger on the side.
Yeah. Gold digger on the side.
All right, so then you kill the
third
guy.
I guess I'm killing Zeke, but
no
beef, Zeke. I'm sorry. I might just cut this whole fucking bit too, so it's okay.
What do you mean? This is a great way to start.
Is it a great way to start?
Dog, I come with heat every time. Every time I'm giving you clips. All right, whatever. You want to talk pitching? Let's talk pitching. Texas State had a really good pitching lineup last season. We talked to Stephen Trout on Square Talks, which you can listen to right here. Same podcast, same time. We're talking about what we have, right? And it is a team this year, and Colton, you can attest to it as we get ready for these games on Friday. This is a team that's going to be focused more, I think, on hitting the ball than it's going to be on pitching. I don't expect the pitching staff to have less than a 3 ERA. I think it's going to be somewhere between 3.7-ish. We can hit the ball this year. That's something that I think Texas State last year could do relatively well, but this year I think we can hit for power and for average. Colton, you went to media day. What's your take?
Yeah, I think, we got some really good hitters. Jose Gonzalez, one of the heroes in that regional final against Stanford. He's probably going to be your main focus. Go on the pitching staff. I think this pitching staff has a chance to improve because you've got, especially with Levi and Zeke on the mound. It'll be really interesting after Tristan Stivers leaves. Is how do they pick up the pace from where he left off? I think that's going to be the major focus point coming into the season because you lost basically one of the greatest pitchers that ever played at Texas State. I mean, this guy was the closer of the year. Multiple baseball outlets nominated Stivers to be as the closer of the year. Let me get back on track. Sorry. I think this pitching staff is going to have a lot to prove coming in this year, especially with Tristan leaving. I think that's going to be the major focus point. I think, like what Andrew was saying, offensively, I think this team's going to be fine. They're going to get their hits. They're going to get their runs. Offense, I have no problems. I think they're going to score, and if they don't, we've got some major problems going on. But, yeah, I think the major focus point coming in this year is, how does this pitching staff rebound? Not rebound, but, how do you pick up the pace where the last year's pitching staff left off?
Jacob, Colton mentioned that this might be the best closer ever to come through Texas State, and now they move on. Have you ever had a closer leave you?
That's what Trout said too. I just wanted to say it's not just media outlets reporting this. This is the team thinking how good Tristan Stivers is. Obviously, he had that big boom, horns down. Look.
Can you do that first one more time for those video podcast listeners? That is, keep that thumb tucked in. I like it. All right.
Well,
continue.
I have no respect for that university, so I'll do whatever I want with my hands when I reference them.
Horns down, eat them up. Long live Brent.
Talking about closers of the year, who the hell is liking my shit? Sorry, the coach just retweeted us on Twitter. Hey, shout out!
Hey, look! Breaking news: Texas State gets a retweet. I know people really care about these retweets. All of a sudden,
wait around, got us a retweet. Yeah.
All of a sudden.
Could you repeat your question?
Twitter,
I'm sorry.
All of a sudden, retweets on Twitter have become the biggest deal. Colton, I don't know if you've been keeping track of this, but for whatever reason, people care about programs retweeting them. We had Alex on Square Talks. This is a straight out just like a plea to Texas State social media. When we tweet a video, please retweet it so that I don't have to hear about other people getting retweets or other people not getting retweets. Please, if you see our content, retweet it once, unretweet it. We'll get the notification. We'll screenshot it. We'll share it with each other. Look, we got the retweet. Hooray. And then we'll move on, okay? I'm so sick of it. I'm so sick of the retweet culture of Texas State. It's driving me mad.
Bringing it back to baseball. Yeah, so they lose the stopper of the year, probably the closer of the year. But Trout said that this was the most stacked his bullpen's ever been. So obviously they're super favored in the Sun Belt, as I was talking about.
What do you call a stacked bullpen?
Stacked bullpen?
Yeah.
Bunch of bulls in the pen? I don't know.
It's called a Big Mac stacked bullpen. You got a bunch of meat. You got a bunch of
There's
bull.
only two patties in the bun.
Okay.
Thank you. I'm here all week.
So Levi's the top bun, Zeke's the first patty, and Nathan's the second bun.
Print the shirts.
I want to also talk about the softball because they had their opening weekend, their Texas State tournament last weekend. They're 3-2 now. The first game saw kind of a surprise. Everybody was like, "Oh, Jessica Mullins." We're obviously talking about preseason awards, and Jessica, friend of the podcast, super excited to start the season. Ricky Woodard hinted at it, though. She wasn't exactly the healthiest, so they kind of had to taper her off. And then at the end of the tournament, she was obviously pitching lights out. But that gave the rest of the team kind of an opportunity to be like, okay, who's our number two? So Ricky Woodard also very high on her pitchers, and she has been for a while. I mean, every year it seems like Texas State has like a perennial pitcher, as Zim was talking about in our last episode last week. But yeah, I think this is just kind of another moment where Texas State can kind of find the answer that isn't the number one,
Yeah, for that number two pitcher, you kind of maybe look at a Tori McCann. I know she's been doing some really good stuff. They had a freshman pitcher start at against Villanova. I'm just losing my name on, but we saw a lot of young pitchers over the tournament, just throwing them out there, seeing how they're doing and all that stuff. Just letting someone else besides Jessica kind of start. But yeah, it'll be. But as much as we talk about the pitching staff, it's mainly the team. The aspect that I really want to talk about is the offense. I mean, the offense has been cooking, especially in that tournament. And if you look at that top lineup, they got some heavy hitters. There's Sarah Vanderfer, Sunbelt first team all preseason. Kiera, oh my gosh, I'm blanking on all these names. Shit. Sierra Smith, yeah. Sierra Tran, one of the outfitters. Papa Randolph was another outfitter that had a really good game yesterday. JJ Smith, and she had that big RBI double against Wichita State. The lineup is really good, and then when you get kind of lower in the order, you've got a lot of these young hitters that are kind of a lot of freshmen that are coming up that are kind of trying to make their spot. And they came up some really big situations. So to me, I would really like to see how this offense kind of keeps going, kind of progresses throughout the season.
Gotcha. And I just want to talk a little bit about that offense too. In that first game the second game against Kent State, It was the second game overall for them in that tournament, but the first time they played Kent State, they shut them out 8-0. Crazy. Next game against Kent State again, they beat them 5-1. And then the last game against Wichita State, who they lost to in the first game, 7-4. So, yeah, definitely big bats and a lot of offense to watch out for, too. It's not just defensive play. Great note. I want to talk about, we hinted at this last week with our Spring is in the Air episode. So, but this is a super busy time for the athletics department. So if you like putting money on games, this is definitely the time for you. With that, though, right, we have the big composite score. Obviously, a bunch of spring sports are teeing off right now. But the football team also has their spring schedule. They announced their spring schedule this week and kind of what to expect. And this week, yesterday, they had their first walk-on meeting too. So Texas State wants you to try out for the football team. They also signed 3 preferred walk-ons. So that's Caleb Godfrey at Bling College, John Orline out of Arkansas, Sean Coleman out of Harding University. So these are preferred walk-ons that, didn't get the love on signing day, but also had, tweets and stuff saying, hey, we're coming to campus. And so obviously these guys are here for the semester, and then you just kind of play semester to semester and see if you make the team. If you don't, if not, I guess you're just at Texas State as a student. How's it going?
We need interns on the podcast, Jacob. A preferred walk-on intern. Get that kind of rolling here for a little bit. No, I mean, it's good. It's important that we have those type of guys who want to join the program. Kenny has done a good job of selling the program. So it's, it's kind of a testament to that, to have guys that played at Arkansas kind of wanting to come and play at Texas State. We see this happen at other programs as well. Getting a preferred walk-on from Texas State, I think, is still really cool. I think it's still really important. And as the team wins, it's going to be more and more kind of impactful, I think, going forward. Colton, preferred walk-on.
It's also, I want to say, it's not really the traditional Rudy story, right? It's not just the random guys off the season. These are all transfers, so that's kind of encouraging.
Yeah, they've played college athletics before. I think the days of just a stranger on the street suiting up is long gone. The way that the internet works now, with if you're anybody, with an ounce of talent, odds are somebody knows of you. A coach, a recruiter somewhere knows what you bring to the table. I think the idea that people might go under the radar in 2023 is almost preposterous.
Yeah.
Especially
when you talk about how Huddle and how recruits get their highlights out to all these programs. If you are a really good football player, it's almost impossible for a big college program to come pick you up. If you're good, those schools are going to find you and they're going to want you to play for your team.
Also happening in the spring. Not as fun, though. I mean, we have the date circled, obviously, for the conference tournaments for the men's team, for the men's basketball team, and the women's basketball team. I want the women's team to win out. The seniors can pick up Coach Z on their shoulders and have a moment like they've all been wanting. But the men's team, we've all kind of been hot and cold on this team, to be honest.
Who's been hot? Point them out.
You're right.
Is the person who's hot on them in the room with us right now?
No. That's me using my Ouija board for Texas State Athletics.
Well, look, and we can talk about the ups and the downs and everything like that. Oh, they got the injury bug. Oh, it just didn't. The whole year kind of just felt like there was like a bad voodoo on the team.
That's what happens when half your team gets injured.
Yeah, I guess. I don't know, Colton, as somebody who covers the team day in and day out, what is the thing you're going to take away from this 2023 season with the Bobcats?
I think it's mainly they just dealt with a lot of injuries and all that stuff. But it feels like this team just came out flat because you're coming off of 2 seasons where you won the conference championship, the regular season title. And you've already set this bar of expectations, and I think this is the first year. I think what's going to define this year is how does Coach Johnson rebound from this year? Because this is his first major.
Is this his worst year?
Yeah, I would say up to this point, this is probably his worst year.
Yeah, well,
just because how everything.
He was the Sun Belt Coach of the Year too, so it's not just obviously the impact that he has on the court is evident, but what he was doing off the court spoke volumes too. And then the transfer portal stuff comes along. Suddenly we don't have Quentin Scott, Alonzo Sule. It's a different team, completely different team.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think something that we've talked kind of off earlier was like kind of how the makeup of this team is kind of like weird. Like we don't have like there's not really this one kind of what we were talking about. You don't need like a true center to be kind of getting those like big rebounds, but like someone like a big forward that's like muscling in all your opponents to get those important rebounds, like especially on the defensive end. I think that's what they were missing this year because I love Nate Martin and I love Niger Caesar. Like they do some really good work, but like there's not someone who that just stands out that just like, okay, I know this person is going to move people out of the way. But to kind of compare it to the women's team, I know Lauren Thompson's going to move some bodies to get a rebound. You know, Jada Reed's going to move some bodies to get those important rebounds. Even Denasia Hood, you know, she's kind of like multiple double doubles where she is literally moving bodies out of the paint to get rebounds. And there's a reason why like she can get 10 rebounds on a night when the opportunities allow it. And I think that's what this team is missing. Like they don't got that person that can muscle their way in the paint, move people out, and get those like important boards.
Yeah, and they're not going to. That's just my take right now. It's like that person's not coming through the door. So how do you fix what you got right now? How do you make what you got better than what you know? How do you turn shit into chicken salad essentially? And that's really distinguishes between a good coach and a great coach. So we'll see if Johnson can do.
Yeah. I think over the past 3 games, I think I've seen this team kind of improve. Like the ODU game, like that was pretty. Like the way that ended, like that was pretty bad. But but the thing that I'm seeing, like at least I'm seeing like life in this team. They're still fighting. They're still going forward. I don't see a team that's given up. I think this is a team that's just kind of in a rut, and they just need to get a little bit momentum going forward. So like when the next season comes, like they can finally get the ship turned around.
So do you think that there's no chance for them to get any postseason play outside the Sun Belt tournament?
Now, like I just don't see it. I just think just look at how non-conference went. I don't see like a signature win. Like I think what was it the Rhode Island game they got that really big win? I mean, like now that game doesn't, you know, that's to me. I don't see like a signature win this team could hang its hat on, especially non-conference. Like I think more. It's funny because like I think more about the losses more than the wins. Like even though they went on the road to beat Cal, like a Power 5 school, like that should be like a thing that they could hang their hat on. But like the thing that sticks with me is like when they went and lost to UTSA on the road, that stuck out more to me. And then that loss to Mary Hardin Baylor.
That is being a Texas State fan in a nutshell, boys. That is being a Texas. The wins they stand out more than the losses. That's just how it is. You hate to see it, but that's the reality that we live in here.
I'll say too, any team that goes 5-9 in their conference, or you know, on the year so far, I should say, because they're not going to finish 5-9, obviously, but doesn't deserve to go into anything. I think you're talking about that, but right now, for context, Texas State's playing App State. They're losing 33-40.
Well, it just sucks, too, that Mason Harrell, this is like his last year, and this is what he goes out on. You know what I mean? Like, he goes off on an injury-riddled, just not a kind of a letdown of a season. And I just kind of think back to Nigel, who didn't have the same situation, but a similar situation in that COVID kind of robbed him of, like, really important games, robbed him of like a really like good send off, and that just sucks. You don't want to see that from some of your best guys.
Yeah, or the all-time scoring guy too, right? For Nigel.
Yeah, don't remind me.
Well, on a brighter note, Coach Z obviously got that bigger record earlier in the year for all-time wins for the program, and her team have a great opportunity to win the tournament, I think.
Colton, I'm clearing out here, brother. This is all you. Women's basketball for Texas State. You're itching for it. I'm excited to hear what you got to say.
To be honest, I think they've got a really good shot because look, because I thought it was going to be Troy, but also Troy's like Texas State played with Troy. Like that home game, the last time they played Troy, like they had Troy on the ropes. Like, I can see this team, like, third time being the charm, this team can go out and beat Troy. I think they've got a really good shot at winning this. Just the only problem is, like, there's about 7 good teams in this women's conference. Like, it is, like, if you look at the standings, it's, like, I think it's like we're in a 3-way tie with James Madison and Old Dominion, who Texas State is playing tonight. That's going to be a really important game. And then, like, a game behind them, I swear, it's like 4 or 5 different teams that are kind of in that mix.
It's a log jam.
Yeah. We just got a giant log jam of, like, really, really good teams, like, in the conference. And I think this is the one you could say, like, one of those teams could possibly win the tournament. And you could be like, okay, I'm not surprised this team won the tournament. And I think Texas State, they do have a really good shot. I think the main focus, like, just get a really good seed and just, like, continue what y'all been doing since the regular season. Like, not in conference play, what y'all been doing. Because that is going to be important. Because, okay, this is a question that that's been on my mind. Why does the tournament title mean more than the regular season title? Because I've never understood that. Like,
well, because that's the one that actually does.
That's the one that fucking matters.
No, like here. But no, okay, let me rephrase this. Like, as for the long, like, before they decided the conference tournament was the reason, like, you got into the NCAA tournament. Why isn't it that the regular season title doesn't qualify you to go into the NCAA tournament? Like, even though
well, there's a couple of reasons there. The first one being that the regular season, a lot of different things can happen. Injuries can happen.
Yeah.
Whatever, right? The end of the season tournament is supposed to be, in idealistic terms, is supposed to be everybody playing their best basketball. All the coaches have figured out their rotations, everything else. And that is supposed to decide who the champion, who the best team of the conference is. I agree. I think that is true. I think that the regular season building up to a playoff format is good for the fans, and I think it's a good determinator on, like, who really is the best team, because now the games matter a lot more. Regular season games matter to get you seeding. Playoff games matter because you want to have a chance to play in the NCAA tournament. Texas State has been the epitome of a team that knows their system. I don't think they've ever had a situation where they have 4 or 5 freshmen on the court at the same time. They always have an advantage when it comes to age, when it comes on the court. So it makes sense for them to win the regular season title. My beef has always been with Casper before Johnson, but now Johnson, is that when the games matter the most, when the light's the brightest, Nigel Pearson doesn't show up, Danny Casper didn't show up, Terrence Johnson he hasn't had a shot to do it yet, so I'm not going to put any ill will towards him. But, like, the Texas State Bobcats men's team in particular do not show up in the Sun Belt Conference Championship. And I hate to burst the bubble for you guys out there who are locked solely on the Bobcats. As somebody who talks about the other Sun Belt teams and who has friends that cover the other Sun Belt teams, that is the stat. That's the scouting report on Bobcat sports, is that when it comes to the playoffs, especially for basketball, they can't get the job done. So there's your answer. Does that answer the question?
No. That answers the question.
It's frustrating, and I understand if you're a person who believes in the regular season, right? Like, but if that was the case in the NFL, why have a playoffs, right? Like, in you know what I mean? It's the same thing. Like, the playoffs matter. Yeah. Like, the playoffs are good. So do I wish that Texas State would have multiple NCAA tournament appearances because they've won the regular season multiple times? Hell yeah, I do. It's cool to see the banner up there, but at the end of the day, the thing that matters the most is that NCAA tournament berth, and the last time that we got that berth was in 2020. So,
but also those tournament wins. Texas State has had moments: baseball, softball, basketball,
soccer,
everything, where we go in as the number 1 seed and then we just get skunked out in the tournament. So it's like the regular season, in my opinion, is not really indicative of the best team. It's like who stayed the healthiest, who played the most consistently, probably.
Who has the best system, know? Yeah, I think that's fair.
Okay.
Yeah. And then maybe, I guess, scheduling too is probably like, who had the smarter schedule, But that sometimes you can't even really control that. These coaches make schedules
especially when
so far down the line.
You get to the conference schedule, like, I mean, you don't know if Southern Miss is going to be good, and you don't know if Lafayette's going to be good, or if Georgia State's going to be good, and all of a sudden you have those 3 teams on a back-to-back-to-back. Like, I mean, you don't know that when the schedule comes out in August, but that's kind of what you got stuck with.
Yeah.
Yeah, but going back to women's basketball, yes, I think this team's got a really good shot at winning the conference tournament because as what we were saying, like it is a log jam at the top, and like there's about 6-5 teams that legitimately have a good shot. And I think Texas State is in the middle of that, and they just need to continue what they've been doing over the regular season, and like do what we're trying to say, like play, be at your best during the tournament because that's what's going to matter the most.
Sweet. I want to speed through some headlines too, because obviously
Rapid fire.
We need some good. We need some good mojo going on to this pod. So we talked about it into our New Year's Eve episode. We're talking about different goals, different expectations for the team. And I was hell bent on having golf wins. I went back and watched the podcast. Maybe a little overreactionary, but I wanted golf wins. And so women's team won their opener last weekend. Maybe it was a week and a half now, but still. And now the men's team, they got a finisher in the top three. Casper Nyland finished second in their opener in Mobile, Alabama this past weekend. So shout out Casper Nyland. And then for the second week in a row, Cedrica Wynn and Dom Yancey are your Sunbelt Track and Field Athletes of the Week. These two have been like unstoppable this year. I mean, it makes me kind of question like who else is running? What times are they posting up? And does anything else matter right now in the Sunbelt than these two's dominance? Really,
get the booking agent because we need him for squaring around.
Yeah, for sure.
Book it.
And then we have so long to talk about them too, because this is like kind of tapering off their indoor schedule into the outdoor. So sky's the limit, really.
Yeah, they're really going to enjoy listening to every podcast from here until I don't know when they graduate. With the last 10 minutes of the podcast dedicated solely to their athletic achievements and accomplishments.
Well, we ran a couple graphics too last week. We had the women's shot put was ranked 6th in the country at that time too. So, I mean, you're talking about
that was last week that we talked about women's shot put.
Or it might have been 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, I was gonna say, don't trick me like that.
There's a lot of track headlines. We kind of strayed away from track. We were focused on football. We were focused on baseball in college, just because we were trying to get the star up to par, up to snuff.
Oh, yeah, that too.
But so we can only really focus on a few things at a time. And unfortunately, football was the big one. And the last one, Colton actually brought these to us today, so I wanted to bring him on specifically to talk about bag watching, because everybody knows I'm looking at these coaches and I'm trying to get everybody paid. But Colton, what can you tell us? I think Texas State's going to run into some money.
Yeah, so the big first news that I came across this morning was Texas State's going to get $750,000 because so back, I forgot when this was, but in the 2024 season, Texas State's Liberty paid Texas State to go over to Lynchburg, Virginia, to go play a non-conference game for the 2024 season. Well, all that has kind of changed up because Liberty is now entering Conference USA in that zombie league of the conference. Because being in a conference with Liberty and UTEP, it totally makes sense. Anyways, because Liberty has to get rid of these non-conference games, they didn't want to keep the Texas State game, so they're basically paying Texas State $250,000 to be like, hey, sorry, this didn't work out. We're going to pay y'all to this is compensation for y'all having to schedule this game out. Well, one of the possible replacement games for that 2024 season is renewing the rivalry between Texas State and Sam Houston State, with Sam Houston State bumping up from FCS to FBS. And from what the report's saying, Sam Houston State's going to pay Texas State $500,000 in that amount. Basically, it's just a giant arrangement from the Conference USA schools to kind of fix this problem with Texas State's non-conference schedule in 2024.
That seems like a lot of money. Would you pay $1 million to play Texas State if you were a school? I always knew Liberty is rolling in that Chick-fil-A cash, but would you be able to? That's a good joke, by the way, if anybody picked up on that. Would you pay $1 million to play Texas State?
Oh, trying to think. So it's not a little school out in what college school. I don't know.
I think also, by the way Texas State fans are, like, the Texas State fan base very much leans, I think, I don't know. I'm not going to pick a lean away, like a political leaning, but I will say they are on the older side. They are older than college age.
Yeah. Like, where's this going?
My point is that I think that Texas State probably did themselves a favor in the long run by getting Liberty off the schedule, because I have a sneaking suspicion that the people who don't really care about athletics but have a lot of opinions on money and where Texas State plays their games and stuff like that, I think they would have a couple of words for the athletic department about playing Liberty. So I think in the grand scheme of things, this is probably for the best that Liberty's off the schedule.
Yeah, I agree. I like if you know what Liberty's about, and like you really go into, I mean, there's a whole Hulu documentary on like the president at Liberty doing some like wild ass shit.
Do you know what's crazy is that if you look in the background of one of those parties, you can see Jakob. True story. Go
person in college.
Bobcat fans, go and watch that documentary on Hulu. It's real eye opening, eyes wide shut opening is what I should say.
But no, like dropping Liberty and like just a renewed like the same Houston State Texas State rivalry that's been like a blood feud since like that it is the oldest like played opponent like Texas State has ever had in their football history. So like being able to, being a 1-game series, like I think that would be a really cool opportunity because, Texas State just does not have a lot of those big rivalry games. I'm glad we're getting the UTSA series back. I know, yeah. But
Texas State doesn't have any of those rivalries because they don't win any of those games.
Yeah, we had the battle for the paddle, and then Nicholls State became.
Texas State has a rivalry, Colton. It's with ULM to who's going to finish last. That is the rivalry Texas State has right now. Playing a national championship contender for Sam Houston State. Now, granted, not the FBS level, but the FCS level, and then going to play UTSA. Look, I love my Bobcats. I die for my Bobcats. My Bobcats would kill me and leave my body in the street because they do not defend me nearly as much as I'd like them to.
They don't defend you at all.
No.
And the next thing I want to talk about is Coach Sean Hewitt, volleyball head coach.
Bag watch.
What you gonna do? What you gonna do when Jacob goes out a request?
He got paid again. Shout out to Hewitt. He deserves the money. He took the reins from Chisholm. There was no drop off at all. In fact, I would argue that he has taken the program to another level. It took Chisholm like 40 years to win an NCAA tournament game. I think that Hewitt will be there and competing for NCAA tournament games. I would like him to win some games. I would like Texas State. I don't think that's much to ask for here, to win a tournament game every 40 years. I'm hoping that he does that more often than not. And I'm glad that he's around. Jacob, you made the point. All of these contracts are continuing to a 2027. That's when all of the money is due for all of these different guys. Hopefully in 4 years when we're doing the podcast and you have a wife and kid and I still have a couch, that we can, talk about all of these great coaches and all the accomplishments they've had in the last 4 years.
Yeah, that's GJ's 2027, Trout's 2027, Woodard's 2027. Golf coach, by the way, men's golf coach, we talked about men's golf, is the only non-contracted role at Texas State. I thought that was
because he's a golf pro. He goes how the country club goes.
Yeah, I know, but what he's getting paid right now is the same as what the women's golf coach is getting paid. So it's like put him on a contract. I don't know.
Colton, did you know that they used to have a golf course? The Texas State used to have a golf course, and then they paved over it.
Really?
It got flooded, and they cut it out. We used to have a really nice golf course.
They didn't pave over it. They just don't do it anymore.
They paved over it. They said they were going to make more parking spots for us.
They didn't. I
know. They lied to us.
That's not true.
We used to have a really sweet golf course, and then
the
it got
Meadow
flooded.
Center course. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you saw they've actually taken away more parking spaces away because they built that new. Is it the music center now?
It's the journalism building.
Yeah.
So we have no negative thoughts on that.
I have zero negative opinions on the journalism building at Texas State. Especially because it's a TV news building, actually. So
those kids need to learn how to walk. They'll be fine.
Yeah. Hey, commuters, you know?
Commuters. Yeah,
Take
get
the
over
bus.
it. Park away, take the bus.
You
The
know what we should
journalism
do?
building
At
is
Texas
very
State, have
needed.
double-decker buses. I think that'd be funny.
Like the Great British Bake Off, have
Mhm.
some.
You got to
double-decker
enclose
buses.
them, though, because I don't trust people, you know, on Sesame Drive. Like, yeah! But
I'll always say this: the classes are not that hard to be having to put nets out, guys. Like, just study. It's not that difficult, okay? Jeez.
Jesus Christ.
It's true. We should be able to have open, like, double-decker buses. I thought you were going to say the reason we shouldn't have them.
Well, I
is
think it's
because
just a safety thing for me, you know?
I want it because it rains, and when it rains, it floods. And
That's
I
what
don't
I'm
want
saying,
to have.
too. Yeah.
Yeah, that's why I would be concerned.
Like
Heck,
a
people jumping
like
off.
Oregon Trail kind of wagon, you know?
Ooh,
Put a
yeah,
wagon
like
on top.
like a canvas. That'd be
Yeah.
tight. Yeah, I give it a week before somebody ripped that, though.
Can't have nice things.
No.
But that'd be cool. Double-decker buses. Like I'm saying, I have no negative opinions about anything the journalism program does.
Let's play this game, because Colton, you're now an established journalist. You're up in for a bunch of national awards. I'm up for a bunch of state awards. Jakob does journalism. So, like, which one of us is going to have something named after them at Texas State? What would you be your betting odds, Colton?
I mean, it's got to be the Texas State Sports Press.
There he is. There it is.
You owe him money or something? Did you take a lot of losses in a bet recently? You guys have a Sunbelt preseason football experience going on, and you just owe him $200 to say that?
Sorry, Jakob. Texas State Sports Press here to stay.
Real quickly, I want to tease our Square Talks with Stephen Trout. We also have a Square Talks with Ricky Woodard, just about preseason expectations. Obviously, they're in their second week, and then baseball kicks it off tomorrow against Northwestern.
Jacob put a lot of work into editing these podcast, people. So please like, share, and subscribe them wherever you get your podcasts. This man slaved over the content stove to bring us these. He had to put on his booking agent hat and actually get us some guests. So I want to thank him for that. It was good. He does a good job. Jacob, thank you. Colton, say thank you to Jacob. Thank you, Jacob.
Thank you, Jacob. You've done a really good job keeping this podcast afloat and making a big splash, basically becoming our #1 Texas State podcast.
Hey, thanks, Colton.
Hey, look at that.
Well, that's nice. I don't ask for compliments much, but it's nice to hear it from you two because I do value your opinions. Episode 16. Thanks for watching, everybody.
Book it.
Thanks for listening. New episodes out every Thursday. Follow the boys on Twitter. Eat 'em up. Eat 'em up.